Welcome back to our YouTube channel, guys. In this video, we're going to be showing you how we bag this 56 Belair on 20-inch intro wheels. Hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and stay tuned as we are on to our next build as this one is done. So let us know what you guys want to see more of. Hope you guys enjoy it. Have a good one. What's up, guys? Welcome back. As you can see, we're going to be working on this 56 Belair. Suspension is completely stock and we're going to be bagging it. We're also going to be narrowing the diff and putting on a new set of intro wheels, 20-inch by 9s with reverse slip in the rear. We're going to be doing an AccuAir setup, E-level. We're going to be doing also Belair 485 compressor, seamless tank. We're using universal airbags as well as a front kit for this car. We're going to be building a custom 4-link kit with bag mounts and also custom Viking dual adjustable shocks front and rear to be able to adjust the dampening on the ride. So let's get into it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take the stock wheels off, throw the new intros on there, get our measurements, and order our new axles from Dutchman Axles. Once those come in, we'll throw them in there, but for now, we'll start with that, doing the C-notch and 4-link. Can I put a stand over here? Stand. On the cart. Okay, so we put the new intro wheel on. As you can see, it sticks out further. We went with a max slip on a 9-inch barrel. So how we usually do it is we'll take a level, put it on the face, make sure that it's mounted correctly on the diff and it's not hanging one side or the other. And then from there, you're gonna want to measure to wherever you want the face of the wheel to land. Once you get those measurements, write them down, check both sides. Sometimes the diffs are offset to one or the other. So measure both, find the center point, and that's it. Okay, so we got the face part of our notch welded with the top cap. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna slide it up in here. It's a nice tight fit, but as you can see, the line where we marked it to the center matches the top. So now that this is in place, what we're gonna do is we're gonna clamp it. I'm gonna put a couple of clamps in there, tack it, make sure everything is squared, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna fully weld it. Once this side's all welded in, we'll jump to the other side, and then once the outers are done, we'll go back, weld the insides, and finally cut out the center section, weld our insert cap, and we're gonna be done with the notch for that part. So it's pretty simple. All right, so welding the notches, what we usually do is we'll tack in the corners, a couple spots in between. Once all that's in there, then we'll buzz it all in. Okay, so we removed the diff to narrow it, and we finished up welding the inner and outer C-notch plates. Next up, we're going to be cutting out the center sections, welding those caps in, and then we're going to be removing the leaf springs completely out of the way, um, cutting out these mounts right there for the e-brake, as well as this bracket, and start making our front mounts and designing link bars and all the rear suspension. Okay, so once we remove the leaf springs, we went ahead and removed this body mount. We're gonna have to remake the body mount to work around our front four-link bracket. We went ahead and designed this new bracket with a plate that's gonna weld straight to the frame. As you can see, there's not much room down here for link bars, so our new link bar is gonna have a bend in them, kind of like a J, for maximum clearance. Now we're gonna do is tack these on, get onto this side, make a new mount back here from the new bracket to the body mount. Tack those in place, and then start working on the diff brackets, and then we'll throw it up on here, cycle it, and go from there. So we got the passenger bracket tacked into place, and our link bars made. Right now they're just drooping. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put the diff up in here and bolt this up, and then we're gonna cycle it, get it to lay out. Once it's there, we'll put our stand under there and start figuring out our drag link and back mounts. So these designed to clear the body, as you can see, that way it doesn't come in contact with the floor, both sides. And then at layout, the bottom of the bar is parallel to the floor. And with this, with this setup, it's minimal push and pull. What it's going to get, I believe it's like about 3/8 push and pull, full lockup and laid out. So it's pretty damn good. Right here, we're limited on room. So what we're going to have to do is raise this about 2 inches. That way it can lay out. And then we're also going to be having to do a small notch on top for the diff pumpkin. That way it clearances everything and lays out. Suspension is all done in the rear. We didn't have a lot of time to record. Been busy back and forth with a bunch of other shop stuff, so we'll break it down so you guys could see exactly what we did. The last time we got a video of it, we had the link bars and the front mounts all mocked up. We went ahead and designed our brackets for our differential as well. What we did is we started with our 4-link brackets, threw the diff on, and we cycled it. We noticed that it was hitting on the back side of the diff right here on the pumpkin area, so we needed to clearance the top of the floor as well to lay it out on the 20s. So we went ahead and clearance that. So now we got to do a sheet metal on top. Those openings up there on top of the back mounts are going to be access panels, so we're going to clean up the sheet metal on top, make some removable access panels. And then so after we did our 4-link brackets, obviously we went ahead and built our back brackets. As you can see on this one, we had to do the back bracket in front of the differential because there is no room. Back here, the gas tank goes in place, so we didn't have room to do it anywhere else. We are running Universal Air House 6s, so it's a 8-inch travel on the bag. So on the Viking coil, on the Viking shock, excuse me, we paired these up with those bags and mounted them to where they both max out at the same time, so it's perfect. They're not going to be fighting. They're going to extend and compress the same, so that makes it even nicer. Our track bar drag link is in place, so that keeps the diff from moving side to side opposed to a pan hard bar. We use our pan hard bars on static applications as they're not going up and down, but in this case, this will keep it from shifting. Rear suspension is pretty much done. our upper shock mounts are right next to our back mounts, so that worked out nicely. We have plenty of room right there. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna figure out our dry shaft. So as you can see, we had to cut into the floor. We're gonna have to do a two-piece dry shaft. That way we don't have to go across the whole belly of the floor and cut it open. It's not necessary. So we're just gonna get a custom two-piece dry shaft built for this. Weld up a cross member and make it bolt onto the chassis. And then for now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna compress the rear suspension. We're gonna go ahead and make some panels for the rear sheet metal. That way at layout, it always clears. You can see back there, it's kind of pushed back, that section. So we'll do those panels, and then we'll probably break down the suspension after that. After we do the sheet metal, we're going to be doing these. So we are running a full AccuAir setup on this. Right here we have the VU4 valve, the new touchpad, the new brain. This thing's pretty dope. It lights up. It's all Bluetooth. You can change the color. And our height sensors. So once the suspension is all done, we usually take these and we mount them. So these, you want to mount them on the suspension. So these have to read at full lockup, full layout, and they have to be within parameters. So everything works correctly. So how I was saying, on the AccuAir sensors, when mounting them, you have to make sure you get full range of motion. They come with these little plastic clips on the back that are removable, like this. So when you mock it up, you could see the range of motion of the sensor. So as you can see right here, we have this side all mocked up. Well, this side's actually done. We went ahead and mounted it to the frame as well. And what we do is we'll drill the holes out, and then we will tap them. So it's a nice clean fit. Right here you can see got the ratchet on there. We're tapping the frame. That way we use some nice stainless bolts, and it's fully removable. No self tappers, none of that. Yeah, this side's once we figure out one side, it's easy. Take measurements, and then as you can see right there, right here actually, we're gonna drill that and tap it. That's gonna be the link bar mount, and that's it. After that, we're gonna do the sheet metal and then break it down, get it off the powder coat. So rear suspension, shocks, AccuAir sensor, and all that's done. So we went ahead and moved on to the trunk area. We mounted our seamless tank on the deck lid to make it look like it's floating. And what we also did is we mounted the AccuAir brain manifold, the air manifold as well in here. So everything's nice and tucked away. We're going to be doing AN lines throughout the car. And then the compressors, we hit them underneath. That way it's quieter, it's cleaner look, simplifies it. So what we did, I'll show you. We made a brace to attach to some stock holes that were into the rear of the frame. And we mounted our 485s in the back of it. We also mounted our solenoid to the compressor in the back. And then we're going to be doing AN lines into the body. We also got our dry shaft back today. So we went ahead and mounted that, did a cross member so it's completely removable to mount the carrier bearing. So all we have left to do at this point is break down the rear suspension, finalize all the welding and setting everything off to powder coat, and then reassemble. Under here we're going to be painting, cleaning everything up, and then painting it to match the OEM finish. And that sums up the rear. So we got the rear suspension, all that situated. Now we're going to be moving on to the front. So this car is completely stock. It's on drum brakes, stock spindles on coils. So we're going to be removing all that. We're going to be doing Wilwood Big Brake in the front, spindles, and we're going to be installing our new air house 6 in the front. We're going to be also doing Viking dual adjustable shocks in the front as well. So what we're going to do first is we're going to start by tearing this apart, and there's a couple things we got to trim in here, so we'll go through them. So remember, before doing anything on the front suspension, make sure you have support like we do right here when breaking down the spindle so the spring doesn't pop out. So now the spindle's free, it's already broken loose. So spindle's gonna get removed. The line, we obviously cut it. Do not cut any lines. We're cutting them because we are ditching them. So that way we don't have a bunch of fluid going all over the place. We just pinched it off right there, but they are being thrown out. We're putting new steel braided lines. So once we do this, we're working on a lift. We could go up with a lift, or if you have a jack, just go down slowly. That way the spring doesn't pop out and hit you in the face. I'm gonna go up with a lift. And the tension is out. So we went slowly. You would have done this and let it just droop. This thing could easily pop out and do some damage to your grill. Okay, so now that the spring is out, we're gonna be removing this bracket for the sway bar, bump stop, and we're gonna be trimming this as well. On the top side of it, we're gonna be removing this stop right here. That's where the bump stop hits, and we're gonna be cutting this lip off. That way it doesn't come into contact with the airbag or cut or any of that. And then we will be putting a new plate on here that's gonna bolt on for our lower bag mount. And we went ahead and cut off the bump stop bracket on top, as well as the lip that would hang on the bottom of this. On the bottom, we removed the sway bar bracket and we trimmed a bracket for the bump stop. So you can see on the bag setup, it's a lower plate that's gonna bolt to a lower control arm with this bracket that bolts on top. This stud goes through the pocket just like the stock shock does. So it goes up there, bolts in, and should lay out. The lower plate mounts to the arm just like that. It has a cutout for this tab right there. Drill the holes through the stock control arm, and then we're just gonna pop this in up in the hole right there where the shock was, and that sums it up. After that, we'll get to the spindle, and just like that, it's in. So the Belair front suspension is ready to come apart. We figured our shock location. We went ahead and mounted it to a lower control arm, made some brackets on the bottom of it, and then we went into the front pocket and built some upper mounts on it. We made a standoff leg tube for AccuAir sensor. So on this one, it was pretty tricky. There's not much room right here, especially with a big shock like that. It's a Viking dual adjustable, but we have full cycle and everything works perfectly. So next, we're gonna go ahead and start breaking it down, sending everything off to powder coat. Both sides are done. We're gonna do the same thing in the rear. We're gonna break down the suspension, and we'll be sending everything off to get powder coat over that ludicrous. Shock and everything's all done. All the sensors, the height sensors are done front and rear. So we'll do that once we get everything back from powder coat. We'll make all new brake lines, install the new Wilwood Big Brake kit from Little Shop, and get this thing on the ground. We're removing everything from the car now to get it powder coated. This is the trunk tank setup. So it bolts up to the sides up on the top. We went ahead and mounted our seamless tank, AccuAir ECU and manifold, as well as our water trap. We're going to break everything down, weld it up, and get it off to powder coat. Alright, so all the powder coat is back from Ludicrous. Time to start assembling everything. Link bar is already being assembled. So we'll get this all back together and back on the car.